Oh, there was a mess of them going there. I had a father, and I assume he was a father. He could have been any male Japanese, you know, but he had a child under each arm, and he was wading out to the deep water to drown him, you know, and himself. And I had my men shoot one leg out from under it, you know, so he couldn't go, you know, couldn't go any further. Sure. And he'd still crawl. He kept going on the one leg. He had to shoot the other leg out. And then I said, if he doesn't stop, you'll have to kill him. So he did.
Really?
Yeah, because he wouldn't stop. So we saved the children.
Oh my God.
But we had to take the father. I told a lady I was dating at the time, she said, what authority do you have to do that? I said, lady, this is a war, you know? Did you ever hear about it? I says, who makes you God Almighty? It's not that I was God Almighty, it was something I was intent on saving the children. I wanted to save him too. If he would have listened and seen what we were doing, he would have been alive too. But I did what I thought, in my opinion, was the best thing.
They were, you were on the beach at that time?
No, that was up Marpy Point. That's up at the north end of the Saipan. That's right at the very end of the battle.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Yep.
How long was that? How long was the Saipan engagement?
The engagement itself, Saipan engagement, was 25 days.
Really?
Yeah. And Tinian was 9 days. And of course, Iwo Jima was 28.
That Kenyan operation was a good operation, well planned.
Yeah.
That's what I always said, well planned.
Hey,
Ma's going to
thank
the
you.
service with Betty next door, but you're excused.
Oh, thank you.
You like a tape? I can send you a copy of this.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, bet. Thank you very much. That's amazing, though. But you know, there was quite a bit of, I guess, Japanese taking their own life. Was that just on Saipan?
And then what?
I guess was that the only place where civilians were on Saipan?
They're on Tinian, too.
No, they were on Tinian. They were on Tinian the very same way. And they had they did have some on Iwo Jima, but not that many. They brought what, like 14 students down. They just got caught in the war, and they gave them weapons, made them fight for their lives. And I guess they all got killed. You know, but the Japanese were great for that. They brought there's a statue, a monument I should say, on Tinian, and I have a picture in my collection over there that shows it was erected by the Korean people, and it was in honor of the 5,000 Koreans that the Japanese forced into slavery and brought them down to work on the island. And this tells their heartbreak of all those that died and were killed, and that because of that, you know. And I let my daughter read the thing, and she bawled like a baby when she was reading it, you know. And there's no love lost with them.
I heard you say yesterday you went back and you didn't want to shake.
Well, now I tell you a little story on the other side of the coin. When we went back for the 40th landing on Iwo Jima, that was the 40th reunion, and that's 1985. They had it was a joint affair between the Marines and the survivors. They called it the Japanese Survivors Association, and they had like 56 members in that there that lived from that battle, you know.
From Iwo Jima?
Iwo Jima.
Just 55?
Yeah, 56 of them.
Survived?
Yeah, survived it, yeah. And they were in this, and they had made this Survivors Association, and that's what they were doing. And so we had this big reunion. there in honor of that, and we went all through it and everything. They had a big ceremony, and John Wayne family went and paid for the stone that was erected on Iwo Jima, and and we had the unveiling and everything there, and Kurobayachi's son Taro was even there. I got pictures in there to show you that. At the end of the program, at the very end of the program, they made an announcement that if anybody would care to shake hands with any of the Japanese that were there, they had about 200 of them behind the statue. When they erected this monument, they erected it so that on the beach, so that the monument was the Japanese were behind the monument, facing the sea, and we were on the other side of the monument attacking. That's the way they had it set up. So after it was all over with, they had the speakers and everything were over here. They wanted us to file up, shake hands with all these different ones. I couldn't bring myself up to do it. I mean, I talked to myself, I argued with myself, and these guys are going, some of them were going up and shaking their hand. And finally I kept saying to myself, come on, John. They were only doing their job the same as you were, right? So I did. I gingerly went up, and the first hand I grabbed was this old lady. And she grabbed both hands and she said, no more wars, no more wars. And she'd bowing all over. And before I got to the end of that line, I was bawling like a baby. And I always remember that.
Well, you know, I went on a cruise here a year and a half ago. And they had out, I'd say, I'm going to sit down.
Yeah.
Because I don't breathe too well. We had maybe 450 veterans on the ship. Marines mostly, some Air Corps and Navy. And you'd go down to the auditorium, and each person would get up and introduce himself as to the outfit he was with and so forth. So this one old gentleman, he was in the 4th Marines out of China, and he was telling me the stuff. They sent him back from China, they sent him back to Corregidor, and that's where the Japs come in. He was machine gun section. He said they piled them up like cordwood, but he said there were so many of them, they ran over them all. So he was taken prisoner, and he was sent to Japan in these tin mines, and the stuff that they put this guy through was unbelievable. He says they beat him with bats and everything else, nothing to eat. I couldn't believe it. And the one thing, I was over and we ended up in, we went to Okinawa, we went to Hiroshima. And in Hiroshima there was a Japanese woman that was the tour guide. And you go in there, they have a museum. Beautiful. But everything relates to the bombing of Hiroshima. So I said to the Japanese woman, I said, you know, I says, I don't have any disregard for the Japanese people. But I says, the government has never admitted up to the atrocities that they committed in World War II. And I said, I'd be happy to have that government say that they did this and they did that. I says, you take Nanking alone in China, they killed 250,000 Chinese women and children, I said, in a week. They don't want to, well, basically they don't want to know anything about it. I mean, that's the thing.
But you met a Japanese survivor of that? No, he was a Chinese survivor?
Oh no, he was a Marine.
Oh, he was an American.
He was a Marine that enlisted. It was just quite a story. Of course, he was older than I am. He was probably 83, 84. And he came from the panhandle of Florida. And he wanted to join the Marines because he saw them dress blues and he thought, boy, that's it. So he was 16 years old and he hitchhiked all the way to, I think it was Albany, Georgia. That's where the only recruitment office was at that time. So he went and got his papers, brought him back home. His mom and dad, no, I will not come sign for you. So he was 17, again he hitchhiked up, got the papers and forged his mother and father's name. They didn't know where he was until they got a letter from China. Quite a boy.
And he survived, though?
Oh yeah, yeah, he survived, and I mean, he's a very interesting fellow to talk to.
Yeah, wow. How many years was he in captivity, though?
Well, when did they overrun Corregidor? 1940, 41, 42, the early part of 42. He was there until 40, 45, end of the war. Yep.
As a POW?
Yeah, yeah. Fighting force.
Thank you, Howard.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.